Hello everybody. This is it's important, so I'm just doing a very short one quickly, just to get everybody's attention on this if I can, and ask you to share widely as possible. There's a report that's come out from the Daily Mail this morning. Hospitals have almost become markets for sex offenders. Shocking figures reveal 6,500 attacks in hospitals in just 3 years, and only 4% end with someone being charged. The official figures lay bare the horrific scale of abuse, with 6,500 attacks being reported in just 3 years. They include gang rapes and assaults on children. The statistics are published today by the Women's Rights Network, whose founder, Heather Binning, said they were just the tip of the iceberg. Hospitals are places where everyone, patients, staff and visitors, should feel completely safe, but rapes and violent assaults are taking place in hospital every week. The figures show hospitals are just not safe places. They are almost a market for sexual offenders. It's absolutely terrifying. Now, she said that the sheer extent of the problem had echoes of the Jimmy Savile scandal and his abuse of patients at Stoke Mandeville, which you'll be familiar with if you've ever read that story. The figures are based on freedom of information requests to police forces in England and Wales. At least 2,088 rapes and 4,451 sexual assaults were reported between January 2019 and October 2022. That's 33 a week. The data does not detail whether the offences were carried out at NHS or private facilities, but a shocking 1 in 7 took place on hospital wards, and just 4.1% of the crimes resulted in the suspect facing a charge or summons. Mrs. Binning claimed that this added to the horror and showed hospitals and police forces were failing to protect the vulnerable. She said the police are not doing enough in terms of recording crimes properly and pursuing them. These are places with CCTV and restricted access. Why is the charge rate so low? The WRN, which is the Women's Rights Network Group, is calling on the NHS, the Care Quality Commission and the police to acknowledge the hidden domain of sexual violence. Ms. Binning said these statistics are jaw-dropping. We began this investigation because of concerns about the safety of women and children on NHS wards, but we are horrified at what we've uncovered. They didn't go looking for this, folks. They didn't go looking for this. The volume of sexual assaults and rapes is even more horrific when you consider that this data covers the pandemic, when much of the country was in lockdown and hospitals were supposedly even more vigilant. The crimes reported include the rape of a girl under 13 and the rape of a woman by multiple offenders in hospitals in the West Midlands. 3 young girls and a boy reported being raped in facilities in Cambridgeshire, while 6 girls were said to have been attacked in hospital in Lancashire. Joe Phoenix, the Reading University criminology professor who wrote the report, said the findings showed NHS trusts were failing in their duty to protect both patients and staff. She added, the fact that 95.9% of all reports were either no further actioned or not recorded officially as crimes is also truly appalling. Although there are no reasons given within the research for this alarmingly low figure, what is clear is that there appears to be ingrained inertia in dealing with this safeguarding and policing failure. WRN researchers sent freedom of information requests to 43 police forces. 8, including those in Scotland and Northern Ireland, were unable to provide the data. Ms. Binning added the true figures are going to be undoubtedly much higher. Crimes of this nature notoriously go underreported as it is, and in addition to that, there is a lot of missing data. The Women's Rights Network said that there need to be a better record keeping of crimes in healthcare facilities and called on the Home Office to set guidelines for the police to build a more accurate picture of the problem. The report also called for scrapping rules that say trans people should be accommodated according to their presentation. It's men who should be accommodated with men, according to the presentation in hospital wards. It says there should be single-sex exemptions for hospital wards in order to ensure that women and girls in particular are adequately protected. I couldn't agree more. If anybody's seen the figures about the occurrence of sexual offending amongst people who identify as trans in prisons, you know as well as I do it's far higher than the normal population. We're not getting away from this, so it's, Other recommendations include clear procedures for reporting and recording allegations. NHS and private hospitals are also urged to review existing safety measures. Ms. Binning added, this is serious, it's not going to go away, and it's only going to get worse if we don't get a handle on it. We thought we were past the days when someone like Jimmy Savile could go in and wander the wards unchallenged. This does have echoes of that. An NHS England spokesman said the figures were unacceptable. They added, all NHS trusts and organisations must ensure robust measures are in place to ensure immediate action is taken in any cases reported to them, and anyone who has experienced any misconduct or violence should come forward, report it and seek help. The article then goes on to detail one particularly shocking incident that I won't go over. It is fairly obvious to me that we seem to have lost our moral compass. We've lost our moral compass. There's something terribly wrong. So this is obviously a very serious thing. I will try and get hold of a copy of the report, in which case I'll stick it on my Substack and send that out to everybody so that at least they've got a copy to have a look at. I'm sure that that will be public available. They're not going to hide it from anyone. It's extraordinary that this is occurring, and at the same time that this is occurring, the NHS is arguing that it is your gender that you will be housed by, not your sex. Your gender, not your sex. Right? The sooner this nonsense is eradicated from our society, the better it'll be for everybody. It's time to stop pampering to LARPing men and women who won't accept the reality of who they are. If they're that ill, then we will give them the support they need, but you're not going to get society to play your game. It's time it stopped. We have to get it out of everywhere, and the NHS seems to be drowned in it more than anywhere else, which is no surprise to me. It's practically a socialist state in its own right. Urgent action is required to get the NHS back on target dealing with reality, and urgent action is required to get the rest of our public sector dealing with reality. 6,500. That's shocking. Okay, all right, so I'll put the article in the doobers at the bottom so you can have a read. Ta-ra.